How's everyone doing tonight?
Yay!
Good. First and foremost, I want to thank you all for being here tonight. Right? Without you all, we wouldn't have an event. And some of you are traveling internationally, some of you are traveling locally, all the way from the South Bay. Before I start, I want to give recognition to our bank hosts, right? Cole Freeman, Alan, right? This is their law firm, this is their office. So I want to head into Brett, kind of welcome you, and he's going to be one of our speakers also.
Thank you, Ken. Everybody hear me okay? I mean, it's the people here that come. This is why these events mean something. It's the planners, it's Ken, it's Sonia, it's Hedera, it's Orbis86, it's Antonella from my team. Like, that's why these events mean something. So thank you for being here. The one thing I'll encourage you all to do is whether it's one or two things take away, whether it's a follow-up with the startup, it's reaching out to someone that you met here, do it tomorrow. Don't wait, because if you do, it won't happen. So I really encourage you to take something from this. That's why we get together. That's why our AI note takers online are listening, and you're here in the flesh. There's no AI avatars. So I really do mean that. And then, you know, for us, Cole Freeman, if you're a startup and you need legal counsel, you're looking for resources, reach out anytime. If you're an investor, whether you're an angel, VC, group of investors, or a syndicate, or you're going to form a fund, reach out to us. Work with the best of AI and crypto, Coinbase, Kraken Ventures, Polychain, Pegasus, Start World Cup. I mean, we try to work with the best, and we're happy to help. So thanks, everybody, for being here, and I'll turn it back over to Ken.
And of course, our MVP or all-star tonight, besides the speaker, is sitting right in front of us, Sonia.
Guys, thank you all of you for coming here. We have a good panel. That being said, I want to give a shout out to all of our panelists who will be speaking here today. We have a couple of slides from our sponsors. Give them a big shout out. All right.
It started with a vision for how the internet should work, how it could work.
It really should be possible for anyone to just kind of wave their hand and carve out a piece of cyberspace and create a world of their own.
But the technology to achieve such a vision simply did not exist.
There's no way that you can have really high throughput and also have all these security and fairness properties. I was able to convince myself it's not possible. And I set it aside, and it would come back and haunt me. And it would keep nagging at me. And so I would pick it up again and set it aside again. And this kept going for years.
3 years later, Lehman had a breakthrough, the hashgraph consensus algorithm. In 2015, Manson Lehman founded Swirls to battle test the algorithm in private permissioned environments. And the following year, Lehman published the technical paper. But in order to realize the vision of a fairer, more secure digital future for all, the world needed a trust layer, a public ledger built on Hashgraph.
Okay, it looks like we are down to the final seconds here.
3, 2, 1. Open access.
The network is open. As of this moment, we have council member nodes online, ready to take transactions from anyone, anywhere in the world.
Since open access, Hedera has witnessed exponential growth on the network, with billions of real-world transactions, hundreds of applications, and tens of thousands of ecosystem developers. The Hedera Council has gone from strength to strength, growing to 29 members on 6 continents, stewarding the network responsibly and ensuring its longevity for generations to come. Hello, future.
All right, I need to hear from Brett, so I'm going to skip this. But again, Brett, thank you for this wonderful venue. And it is a little cold outside, but really keeping the networking outside too. We also have our startup demos that will be set up right there during the networking hours. You can go and check out our startups there. I also want to give a shout out to Internet Computer. They are our sponsor for tonight. And here's a slightly longer video.
The history of the Internet Computer really dates back to the mid-1990s when I began working on distributed systems. By the dot-com era, I was also working with cryptography and trying to create what would have been one of the world's first cloud services. 2013, I got into Bitcoin, and by the end of the year, I decided I wanted to create a virtual currency for the games industry. I circulated a paper in October 2014 repurposing traditional Byzantine fault-tolerant consensus math. I got involved with the early Ethereum community, and I'd seen how blockchain could do much more than just cryptocurrency, and you could in fact use a blockchain to host code and data and computation. At some point I'd heard the phrase world computer. To me, world computer, it meant an extension of the internet that you could use to build almost any system and service using smart contracts. I renamed the project Affinity, which is a shortening of decentralized infinity, and began working towards this new goal of creating a world computer. The Affinity Foundation was created in October 2016, and then it ran a big public ICO in February 2017. That enabled us rapidly to expand the Affinity R&D team. By the end of that year, we were running the biggest R&D operation in blockchain. The people we have at Affinity are just the most incredible bunch of hardworking, visionary, talented people that you could ever imagine. And I'm grateful every single day that I come to work. When the Internet Computer mainnet finally launched, it was pretty wild. As an organization, we're primarily staffed by R&D folks, as is the nature of the project even now. Meanwhile, while all this wildness was going on, we had to contribute to the network to keep it up and running. The Internet Computers managed to run the last 2 years without any downtime. There's been so many improvements that have been added to the Internet Computer in the last 2 years. There are almost too many to mention. Just recently, something called chain key Bitcoin went live. Internet Computer nodes actually talk to Bitcoin nodes. That enables smart contracts on the Internet Computer to directly process Bitcoin on the Bitcoin blockchain without need for bridges. The next step is to integrate with Ethereum, which will allow smart contracts on the Internet Computer to process any asset on the Ethereum blockchain and call into Ethereum smart contracts. And that's a big deal, because Internet Computer smart contracts can serve user experiences by processing HTTP. And that's a very unique capability. By integrating the Internet Computer and Ethereum networks, we'll be giving that unique capability to Ethereum smart contracts too. So one of the very cool things about the Internet Computer, it's the world's first adaptive blockchain. And that means that it runs under the control of a decentralized governance system, and you can submit proposals to this governance system that change the structure of the network or run protocol upgrades, and they'll be executed completely automatically. This differs from traditional blockchains, which are upgraded through a process known as hard forking. Through this governance system, the Internet Computer has already been upgraded 145 times in the 2 years since mainnet has been running. The Internet Computer is designed to be a world computer and host things like social networks and enterprise systems on the blockchain itself. And to do that, it has to be unbounded. It has to be able to scale without limit, host any amount of data, any amount of computation, and do so very efficiently. I think one of the big surprises of the Internet Computer is that eventually, not only can blockchain act as a crypto cloud that replaces centralized tech, but that crypto cloud can actually be more efficient than centralized tech in the end. And of course, being green and reducing the emissions of technology worldwide is a key objective. The Internet Computer has very fast growing and vibrant community of developers building. We've seen just about every kind of Web3 service imaginable, and now we're increasingly seeing enterprises experimenting with building tamper-proof and unstoppable systems on the Internet Computer that run without the need for a firewall or security team. 2 years on from launch, we really are well and truly on the road to realizing this vision of a blockchain singularity, where almost everything one day will be built on the blockchain, and the blockchain will play the role of a world computer that's the everything stack that will eventually eat centralized technology.
So that's about ICP. And And moving on, we also have some domain giveaways. So it's I'll be showing you a QR code later on, but also if you scan one of the QR codes on the Orbis86 banner in the sign outside too, you should see a link that will allow you to claim a domain from Unstoppable Domains worth $50. Here's a quick video about Unstoppable Domains. I think we all know about it, but still, we have to do a video.
What is an unstoppable Web3 domain? It's your name on the internet. It's your Web3 identity. It's how you pay and get paid online. It's your universal crypto wallet. It's streamlined login across Web3. It verifies ownership of your digital assets and collectibles. It brings NFT avatars to life, an unstoppable Web3 domain. It's owned, not rented. It's freedom from renewal fees. It's something you control forever. Minted on chain, stored in your wallet. It's as versatile as you want it to be. And proof that you too are real, not a bot. It's your name. It's your reputation. It's your identity. It's you. Own it. So, what are you waiting for? Get your Web3 domain today.
Right. Again, we will be sending out an email later on to take the domain, but scan the QR code, make a social media post about the event, and secure the domain as yours. You can also scan the QR code here. I'm just going to put it up for 10 seconds. You will receive a Google form link to submit the social media post. And all I want you to put a link, post on LinkedIn, Twitter, wherever. And then we send you get an email from Unstoppable Domains with your. All right. Finally, it's time for panels. I would love to give us back to Ken, who's going to be moderating the panel. And Ken, if you could also invite all of our wonderful guests.
Yes, thank you, Sonia. Let's give a round of applause to Sonia and Jenny. But I have a little zip bag here, but since I'm a local San Francisco, I'm born and raised here. I always like doing a little trivia. Again, my name's Ken Nim. I am with Off-Chain Global, which we organize events like this globally. We have over 73 chapters around the world. So anywhere you travel, there's probably an off-chain list. Thank you all for without any further ado, we're going to have our star for today's show. Our panelists, thank you for being here. First, we're going to call Brett. Right, Brett? And Suzanne. Thank you. And John. Now you're gonna not hear from me because you're gonna hear directly from our speakers of who they are. That's right. I'm putting on the screen up. The speakers are most important. So with that, John, you want to introduce yourself, the company, what are your focus?
Yeah, so I'm John Occhipinti. I am a partner at Nautilus Asset Management Company. Ford raised here in Silicon Valley. My father raised money from Jake Flanger and Don Valentine at Sequoia. So we rich history here. I was early at Netscape, so I was a very employee at Netscape. So Web 1 started. And then I've been spending most of my time career in venture capital at the early stage. So about 30 years plus of startups working with entrepreneurs, owning and operating some of my own businesses. And then recently we were just about to launch and announce Nautilus. My partner has 10 to 15 years of investing in this space. He invested in Vividly, Luxo, Polkadot, Near Foundation, and so all the layer one folks. And we're
Hi, my name is Sanjeev. So I represent actually Hedera here, but my company is Rolex. We build available assets on Zone, on Hedera. And we've been in this space since 2017. So we built the institution-grade blockchain and AI platform, which actually push the institutions, any assets on chain. So happy to present and what we built on Hedera to tell you about. So.
Hi everyone, my name is Suzanne Leigh, and I'm the editor and communications director for Omni Network. And Omni Network is, what do we do? We build sort of a suite of non-custodial, permissionless, on-chain Bitcoin tools for developers. secured by ICP's chain key cryptography, multi-party computation, network of Bitcoin node operators, right? That's a lot. But let me make it really simple from a high level. So we have basically two products right now. One focuses on interoperability with Bitcoin, and that's called the Omnity Hub. We can build a light client and connect any chain to Bitcoin and ICP. But right now we're focusing more on Bitcoin programmability. So we've developed something called the Ruins Exchange Environment, or REE. And what this does is it introduces a Turing-complete compute environment for DeFi developers on Bitcoin to really build embracing Bitcoin's UTXO-based structure, right, instead of working against it. We're currently building this thing, and it will be launched with a testnet. We're going to open source it with development support and docs in just a few weeks. In the meantime, we launched the first Ruins AMM DEX on it, which is live right now, as a blueprint, really, for developers to understand our exchange logic. Yeah.
Very exciting launches from Suzanne and John. But for me, again, I'm Brett. I'm a partner and corporate attorney, Colton and Allen. I'm on the journey with most of you. You're a ride wherever it goes in AI, crypto, a combination of the both, SaaS, software, whatever it is. That's 75% of what I do. So you could be pre-seed, you could be Series C. I'm there to advise and help. I've been a former founder, went through 500 Global many years ago. I've been down the Web3 rabbit hole for almost a decade. Transplanter from the Midwest, and somehow I got stuck in Silicon Valley and has nowhere to leave. And aside from advising clients, try to put together events where people can connect and find ways to solve problems, and the space where you're in AI, any deep tech, Web3, the better your support is, the better you can go. And we have a lot of challenges, right? We're going to talk about some of those today. So I'm really excited to be here, and I'm really excited to talk to all of you.
Nice. And of course, we're here. ETH SF is this week, right? And then today's topic is unlocking the future, right? Now we see a lot of merge between Web3 community, AI community, and a lot of developments happening. You know, I'm going to ask a question of what are you most excited about, whether it's a Web3 specific AI or the conversions of it. Just to share with you, I'm excited with Fartcoin. I'm just kidding. Right, Fartcoin with AI, right? There's emerging agents involved. But I see the smile there, Brett, yourself. What are you most excited about?
So I think it applies to both, Ken. It's the accessibility and the collaboration that applies. So what I mean by that is to be accessible. Like, how do we get people to understand what this means if you're early in the spectrum, and you don't know a lot about AI and Web3, and you're trying to sell solutions to them? And if you're further along, you're building products, well, how do you open up doors with partnerships? You're trying to sell to big enterprise companies. I mean, they're going to take you seriously now. I think we see that enough with NVIDIA. I just read an interview today with Robinhood on the emergence of crypto and AI and what their plans are with financial markets. I mean, all this happening, but the reality is, like, what's the low-hanging fruit to get stuff off the ground? So I always talk to my clients about is like, how do we just get something forward that can drive business, can drive revenue, can drive users, and go from there, and then get people to interact with it? That's being accessible. If they don't interact with it, there's no adoption. So that's really important. The collaborative part of this is simply, now that we have the U.S. kind of resetting on the regulatory side, how do we get more downward push forward to open up business in a way that the builders and the investors that invest in them are comfortable with doing what they do and making stuff happen.
And Suzanne, you've been building, right? You're excited. It's very ominous.
What am I most excited about the future, though? I mean, I'm going to step out of my role. I'm not an AI engineer. I specifically work in Web3, although we did build an agent last summer for fun. I'm really excited. Like Brett said, usability and accessibility are huge elephants in the room. You know, with Web3, it's the obvious. You know, most Web3 the apps have clunky UX, and so before anybody even uses your app, they've got to write down 12 words or write down 24 words, and they've got to buy something for gas that they don't even understand in order to do the transaction that came to your app to do. And that needs to be taken care of, right? That's obvious in Web3, but with AI, I also noticed that there is a steep learning curve in for some LLMs for prompting, and I think that's improving, but it needs to get better. I mean, anyone who's spent a lot of time trying to prompt a journey right knows what I'm talking about. At a certain level, it's like, I think this can be easier on the front end. I'm looking forward to that. What I'm looking forward to the most is the integration of Web3 and AI. And this is why, I mean, we're living in a time where it's going to be kind of crazy with proliferation of AI, right? So how do we verify anything is true? I'm looking forward to a time when, like, imagine, say, an AI-driven research where the sources are verifiable on-chain, or perhaps AI-generated, curated, or generated content where verifiable attestation, right, can show original authorship and provenance. And I think we're going to come into this in the future. It's not there yet, but I see Web3 saving AI's ass.
No, that's a great way to say it. Agency tokens, right? How do you say?
So yeah, this is exactly the moment. In fact, we are extremely excited about. The reason being because when we started back in 2017, it took us literally long to actually get even our first validation to the use case for our platform. So because we deal in financial securities, and securities moves with the regulation. So these are not NFTs or meme coins. So we were struggling to understand how the regulators could probably see this as a real world asset ownership moving on chain, right? So over the years, we've seen a huge clarity. Probably with the current administrations, I see this, but yeah, when it's something which is, I see regulators are not more kind of like blockers; they are both enablers. So this is something which is really good for us. I mean, when we deal with real world asset ownership on chain, I think this is exactly the time when we are extremely excited about. And of course, Web3 and AI is something which is in a different league today. The reason being because we've been working on, of course, generative AI is to actually put the smart contracts investment in terms of pushing the token issuance on chain, where you literally can automate this whole process. I mean, you don't have to, have any issues with the humans actually could probably make mistakes in issuances as well on smart contracts. But this whole process can actually make generative AI automated, right? We are also actually, something which is extremely interesting for us is forest deep neural network, which is actually kind of like extremely good for financial modeling, risk assessment. And that's something which we've been working on it since past 8 months now. I don't want to say that we are already there, but then this could probably change potentially the financial landscape of how the fund administration or any financial institution could probably drive the ownership interest of portfolio or financial assets on chain. So this is something which is extremely exciting, and so this is what I'm excited about.
Yeah, no, we touch finance, so we're gonna get the draw, especially as a VC in the room, right? This is a quick show of hand in the community here. How many founders here in the room? Well, more than half of the people are founders. So, John, from a VC perspective.
Yeah, we had to kind of get back to first principles. The definition of the startup is a temporary organization in search of a repeatable and scalable business model. So, I think it's interesting, like the Web3 world has been around. We've invested in, my partners have invested from the beginning, layer one to Affinity, name that. But ultimately, you have to kind of go to where the value is to the consumer ultimately. You have to be creating some kind of a smart contract is basically just an app, right? A wallet should be an account or a profile. So what's happening with AI, and I see AI as just like the air we breathe. AI is affecting everything. Web 1, Web 2, Web 3 has some very particular, I think, accelerants on to Web 3. But also agree with Sanjeev that we're at a really interesting point in time where the regulatory environments are changing
which basically frees up and brings capital into this market. But we also still have to be cognizant that you have to pass the grandmother test, which is my grandmother will never be able to figure out how to do a MetaMask and do 10 C's and then go take that paper and put it down into a deposit box and make sure she doesn't lose her keys. So we have to be kind of real with this stuff. It's like, in the last 10 years, I think people have been talking about Web3 and how it's going to change things, but ultimately it's kind of like providing real value to real businesses or consumers in a significant way. So, for example, like we have deep political connections as well. And as a fund, we're looking at doing startups. We're also starting as how do we unleash all this capital into Web3, right? And how do we start? And Bitcoin is a big starter because people understand digital gold and the impact it'll have on reserves. But what if we just did a tokenized and a digital version of a treasury management? People, buy T-bills, right? And so T-bills sit in a drawer and they go to maturity, but they're not tokenized. That's the most liquid, I believe. It's the most liquid. So what if you could go to a treasury and say, listen, you could be buying Bitcoin. We're going to go to the States. Like you're buying Bitcoin now to bring up your reserve. Why don't you take the trillions of dollars you have in T-bills and tokenize them and then create, now you don't have to actually repo them. You can actually create liquidity with them. You could put that into a lending protocol. So the goal is to have the light bulb go off when they see that first smart contract trigger actual return for them. Like go from 5% return rates to where I can actually move that up to 7%. And a treasurer that sits in that seed is going to be like, that is really cool. What else can we do? And then that will continue to free up. So wave one is going to be this whole Bitcoin movement, reserves, and treasury management. But that moves into all the other things that can happen. But ultimately, you need to get to a Facebook profile, not MetaMask. You need to be able to have onboarding. You need to think of users and retention. And I could go on. But AI also takes blockchain. I actually think AI does for Web3. I would say the other way. I would say AI is actually going to help Web3. It's going to put the smart in the smart contracts and actually make blockchain way, way more effective in our opinion.
Sanjeev, I know you wanted to respond to John, and that's actually this kind of discussion, right? Is those barriers, right? How can we address those barriers as Dan mentioned and John mentioned, right? How do you make it easier, accessible? Web3 AI.
True. So just to talk about and what John has said is the T-bills is one of the most favorite use case of mine when it comes to because it drives the liquidity. The biggest problem in RWA, like I can issue as many as I've done almost billions of dollars of tokens minted on chain, various chains because we are multi-chain, chain agnostic, asset agnostic. But where is the liquidity for RWA? Right? I mean, there has to be a liquidity distribution, liquidity raise. Today, T-bills, we've done T-bills as well. And the use case, what you just said, is something which is really unique as well. I see, as I said, if financial securities require regulations, and regulations require clarity and regulations, which of course, and Brett and we were talking about it. So what we built is something which is really unique, is because these are financial, regulations. So you can actually have the regulations which is inbuilt in a contract based on the regulation, based on the jurisdiction where you are issuing the securities. So think about it, if you are issuing securities in the US, you actually get the SEC's Reg E506E, Reg E506B, Reg S exemptions. These are exemptions to issue financial securities. So we've inbuilt everything in a smart contract. So if you're issuing something in Dubai, the VARA regulation which is getting applicable. If you're issuing something in ADGM in Abu Dhabi, the ADGM regulation which is getting applicable. So now we are launching, in fact, on Hedera, we are launching the first BaFin-approved regulatory broker dealer, which is issuing the hard assets, which is, of course, real estate on chain. And our launch is happening next month on Hedera chain. So these are certain barriers, but of course, we've seen that over the years. And of course, I mean, as I said, as you were talking about it in terms of the biggest issue is, of course, the interface. I mean, the user interfaces. And I'm sure AI would help in terms of moving those barriers actually for sure. And such kind of like fraud detection, because people are still not happy or probably convinced that institutions are talking about, because we deal with institutions, so they still require a push from big fours to push them on chain, because we work with PwC, Deloitte, it pushes our solutions to their clients. So I think we've seen that value is still a problem in terms of the adoption is concerned. So that's what I feel is one of these barriers for us.
Yeah, and you've heard some of the comments from John, man. How to make it easier, having a Facebook profile, how do you use emails right there, MetaMask.
Abstract. Yes. I mean, yeah, secure social logins, right? No secret keys, gasless transactions, all of that is really important, as I mentioned before. Another Barry, I was talking to Sanjeev about this earlier, and it's really interesting to hear. I want to know more about your real estate stuff, but part of one of the biggest barriers is really just an externality that we can't control, right? What regulators haven't answered yet, right? For example, is a Bitcoin transaction legally countable as a settlement in financial law? Like, we don't know. And as you pointed out, we're going through a regulatory change. But for example, I mean, if you had some guy that wanted to tokenize his real estate agency and his real estate listings, unless he had some sort of authorization or work for some sort of government or governing body that actually regulated and authorized real estate registries, tokenizing that would be just an auxiliary mechanism. It would be obsolete. It wouldn't be necessary, right? And so we have these kind of, until these regulatory bodies, this is for gold, this is for collectibles, this is for any real world asset, kind of jump on board. So I love hearing that you're actually, far and few between, but you are, getting regulatory bodies on board that can certify this is just, and so I love to see it.
You talk about regulatory, and there's a lot of legal aspects. You've represented or you've met with a lot of startups from early stage to mid stage. What are some of the things that you see they're solving the barriers, or you've seen the solving barriers, and how is that impacting you as in your business?
Well, I'll try not to bore everybody here, but I do want to respond to Sanjeev's comment. Like, I fell down the rabbit hole because of smart contracts initially, because wow, that could make my job easier. That could make clients and their business interactions and contract administration easier because it would just be automated. That sounds awesome. And then you just go from that. I don't have to draft everything. It's built into the smart contract program. And now we just advise on the things, the big conversations where we can add the most value for all of you guys, whether you're a startup or an investor. But I come back to the use, the access. I think of, I might be dating myself, Tom from MySpace. Like, it's got to be that simple. If you think about, like, how do we interact with this? So on the AI side, I see things like the AI agents, whether it's you want to train versus what is our traditional Web 2 comparison and option. So, for example, content. I can go on Maverick, start my own course, charge $2,000 a week or a month. That's all out there. You see, like, experts like Amy Duke. She's a former professional poker player, author. She charges, like, great courses versus, okay, there's an AI solution where I can go and train an agent as a professor, train with my content, and someone can interact with that AI agent, my avatar, ask it questions, learn everything that I've embedded in it and built into it, or monetizing myself. Which one is easier? Sign up for a course, train an AI agent. I think we have to make some of these things easier to do. And there are startups building this. This is where I've seen some of these things, where you have an agent you can train, give them legit content that's authenticated, verifiable. And now that's you. That's my twin, my digital twin, teach you how to do things, and they're paying and they're monetizing it. And they're making tokens that represent the information itself. Like, that merge gets me really excited. But we are the barriers, honestly. We have to make this more simple. And then the regulation, the clarity, the resets, that's gonna take time, and it'll be better than it was. And I want to have deja vu with clients every day. It's the same thing. You're going to take us to risk. I'm not going to tell you because that's a win. But we're not going to take that risk unless you want to do it. Because I take calculated risks, but my clients have to make that decision for themselves because it's their business with my informed counsel. So we'll be in a better place. It's going to take some time, even with the roundtable discussions happening like 9 days, crypto task force, and they're not going to come out of there saying we got the answer. But it's be more collaborative, which is going to be very helpful for opening up the floodgates to enable and not be a block.
I'd say everyone's going to have to really rethink. Even as an entrepreneur, there's this idea of a liquid startup. Way back when you'd actually have to go to the library, you'd have to get your car, drive to the library, look up the Dewey Decimal System, go find a book, stain. You could still learn to figure out, now Google made knowledge, that much faster. AI actually can start writing contracts. You got to be careful. Everyone's going to have to reinvent, even the attorneys. You'd be surprised at how many contracts I've written. My attorneys are asked and I wrote it with AI and analyzing contracts, right? So things are changing. Things are moving so much faster, but there are so many really interesting new business models that could be being created at the speed of light. And so you got to be careful as an entrepreneur, I think, because you don't want to start a business to make money. You need to start a business to solve a problem that you've been thinking about for a long period of time, and so that you have a unique insight to whatever that you're building, right? I think that's kind of interesting. So Eric and I were having a conversation earlier. I think one of the greatest use cases of AI is an on-chain agent that is basically policing a network. So how many wallets are really on the network? How many fake wallets are on the network? Real active users. It kind of comes back to the Web 2.0. How many customers do you have? Well, you have wallets. I don't have data on you, right? So, but I need to know how many I'm retaining. What's the monetization of those users over time? So, cost of acquisition, the retention, all the kind of first principles still come back. But I do think AI is going to shine a light in terms of helping Web3 become more, just shine a light on things to actually make it and police those environments to make them way healthier.
Yeah, I just want to add something. So we, when we started, putting our first private equity fund on chain, it's almost $1 billion fund with a master feeder structure, and we realized that the fund admin has a very a difficult process in terms of kind of putting the whole administration on chain. We automate that process and from AI with AI, and it's saved him 60% of the cost, and it's fully automated. So these are certain things we have low hanging fruits, right? For me, I'm thinking of actually using FDNN to actually kind of literally predict the token or an asset pricing when the token is going to be traded on the exchange, right? I mean, if you put this dollar on chain, whatever it's $10 billion, and you're issuing a token, the token value for that point of time, so it's a live pricing which needs to be automated, and that is possible with AI as well. So we're talking about that, but that's going to take time. So but this is something which can automate right now, which we already done that. So this is something which we can actually do. It's a phase approach, what correctly said. So,
and even as throughout the conversation, one of the theme I'm hearing is tokenization, real world assets, real estate, right? And community from Suzanne, from your perspective, what are ways that you talked about the barriers, right? What are ways to address some of the barriers, or how did you figure out more onboarding?
Well, I mean, I'll talk specifically to Web3 here. We have a trust issue, first of all. There's too many hacks. Most of them are cross-chain bridge hacks, but not all of them. Many of them involve centralized processes like multi-sig wallets that are properly maintained, a variety of reasons. But I think, I'm just going to come out and say it, I think in the crypto space, unless, with the exception of something like ICP, where I see constant updates, projects just okay, we had our audit, last year, we're fine. And they just, okay, it works so far, but we need to really get serious about this. Omni Network has just been working on cross-chain interoperability for 5 years. And we take it very, very seriously. So I think that's a big issue, and I think it's incumbent upon builders, not just those who are building projects, but those who have already built projects, to make sure their stuff is secure. Okay, so you have a wizard behind the curtain, that's fine. You have an off-chain layer, you have an off-chain indexer, that's fine. Make sure that's secure, because these hacks are just, people aren't going to trust us. Secondarily, yeah, what are we going to do about shitcoin pump and dump? We can't do anything about that. I think that as an editor, there are probably thousands of articles that already have advised the general population, yeah, no hot swat token, maybe no. So yeah, education, but you can lead a horse to water, but can't make them drink here too. So what can we do to before that, in 2008, nobody would really understand the premise of the Bitcoin white paper unless people didn't wake up one day and go in 2008, like, hey, wait a minute, like, why do we have to bail out the banks? Like, why is that our responsibility? So when the Bitcoin white paper was released, you know, that premise in the Bitcoin white paper, censorship, resistance, self-sovereignty, etc., was relevant. It was understood. It wasn't until 2008 that really, really hit. In the same sense, now, and I think AI is going to bring us into a really transparent place where previous crypto newbies or versions or whatever you call them who know anything about blockchain are going to start asking questions about AI because it affects everybody. It's going to affect everybody. And so I think things like, Adobe, got blamed for training their learning models on copywritten, material. And that creates this friction and this buzz because AI is the hot topic. Or, ChatGPT decided to crawl back on its plans to open source, and now it's non-profit. So what do I think? Web3 newbies, AI, people who are exposed to AI are asking, well, why is this a problem? Should I be worried about this? What data are they training the AI on? Where is that being trained? And what does that do? It sets up this situation where everyday individuals can understand, maybe we need transparency. Maybe we need to decentralize this so it's not up in some AWS cloud somewhere costing a lot of money and we can't see what's going on. So in a weird way, I actually think AI is going to bring people to understand the need for decentralization and, the self-sovereignty, the verifiability, et cetera, that only blockchain tech can give you, and hence maybe spur some mass adoption on with it. That's my weird theory.
Will you be the president of Greenland? Issue a token? Coin, but Brett,
I just want to add to Suzanne's point. I think the fluency, like everyone has to get comfortable on some level with using the technology, whether it's AI or Web3. Like you're learning how to drive a car, you are learning to use a computer or Microsoft Office. Like you have to have some level, and those that learn to use it the best will scale themselves and be the most successful, in my opinion. But if you are disengaged, you're asleep at the wheel, you're not driving. Either somebody else is or AI is driving, literally. So I think you have to be engaged and try things. Like, even if you're not the best at it, no one is to start. Like, it took me a lot of time to get comfortable with the MetaMask wallet. And I'm still working on the cold storage wallet because I don't want to be that person that loses my keys and I don't have any of my small portfolio. So I diversify across, MetaMask, other exchanges, because we're on the cutting edge. And you have to be okay with some risk and discomfort. That's how we grow. So I really encourage people to really engage with it because that's part of the barrier. If you don't spend time on it and know the issues, how to recognize them, how are you going to know what decisions to make or what to advise someone in making decisions? And then the security part, as Suzanne was referencing, there are companies that are out there that really focus on identifying issues, like the AI agents you're talking about, John. Like companies are building those things to police, and that's great. There are other companies that are the wallet hacks, like on-chain. They work with the SEC, the DOJ, the FBI to track down and recover funds. That will give people more comforts. So I think that's where you start small, so your risk is lower. You're comfortable with, hey, I could lose this and be okay. Don't go all in if you don't know what you're doing. I mean, that's like me going to another country where I go to Spain. I can speak 5-year-old Spanish. That's it. I'm not going to do well on my own, but I can get better, and it's all relative, right?
Yeah, I think it's just like solving problems in the real world for real people. People make decisions for personal reasons. So those examples need to come through. It kind of reminds me, like when we were at Netscape, we never talked about TCP/IP, and we didn't talk about all the jargon that's going on. Customers like just point and click, and then they got whatever the results are. So whether it's taking real world assets from a landlord and just disintermediating all the need for a landlord, because you have a smart contract, can manage the budget of the place. AI you tokenize it, you can distribute all the proceeds from all the rents. You manage the rents, you can set the rents, you can do all this stuff with AI. But the people that invest in that property don't really care. They just know that the bank account's going up, and it's pretty slick. So I think, like from an entrepreneur's perspective, don't get caught in the weeds of the jargon. Really think about solving real problems for real people in the world, and what that does. Yeah. So
Thanks, John. And then Brett called me out here. I spent 8 in all the shitcoins. Right? So thanks for calling me out. I'm kidding, man. But we're not gonna bring this to the landing spot, right? We're gonna having a wrap up question, because we've shared a lot of your perspective on men's publishers, which we really appreciate, and hopefully the audience give a chance to ask some questions for you too. But before we go to the audience, right? Your advice, right? What do you see? What are the technology that from your work, right, is missing? And you think so from a first principle perspective, right? Things that you're working on, right? Where do you think those technology that's missing that help with, or you're excited about, right, in helping that mass adoption? So, Suzanne, you go first.
So I'm going to just keep this really like specific to Omni Network now, and not from a high level. But well, we recently kind of had an interesting discovery on our own. So we built this cool runes exchange environment, and we're like, wow, this is 100% on-chain. It goes from your Bitcoin wallet to the mempool back to your Bitcoin wallet. It's amazing, but not everybody is kind of like OG Bitcoin core, ethos, and a lot of traders, they don't have time for 10-minute blocks on Bitcoin. They want it now. And so I should preface this by saying Omni Network also builds a lot of tools that other protocols you might have heard of use, such as Odin Fund or Liquidium or BlockFiner. Specifically, we have on-chain runes indexer, which allows protocols to see everything that's happening on Bitcoin. And because we're on ICP, protocols that are built on ICP can use our cross-chain runes, etching, canister, and our interoperability tools. While we were launching this, kind of old school, very cool runes on-chain AMM decks, all Bitcoin all day long, Odin Fund was also launching on ICP. And now Odin Fund is kind of like a pump fund, but for ruins. And it blew up. It went off. Everybody was so excited about all this runes liquidity. It was fantastic. And there is a moment or two in Odin Fund where there's a little black box, and your assets aren't right in front of you. You're not sure where they are. Maybe you have to search to CKBTC. I don't know, right? Does the user care? No. Want dog now? Buy dog now. That's what the user wants. So what we realized is that, why don't, for mass adoption, for both use cases, why don't we have both, right? Why can't we offer for people like, and I can imagine, let's say you've done a bit of trading and now your rooms are worth a bit of money and it's a couple of years down the road. Maybe you want to see your transaction from your wallet to the mempool back to your wallet again. You want to track that. But yeah, if you're just trying to get in on a quick trade on a new hot runes, you should be able to have some sort of layer too, right? That maybe you can't see everything, maybe it's not transparent, maybe it's not trustless, but you get shitcoin now, and that's what you wanted. And so I think that we're going to be able to build things for all users. They're going to have a lot of different options. So those with trust issues can have more of a trustless area, and those just want to get in and get it fast can do that also.
John said, I want my grandma to be able to use it too. And Brett, you've seen a lot of projects, right? What do you settle? What do you think the future in helping mass adoption?
So I think on a basic level, some of my clients, for example, are shooting up a satellite into space to provide internet. Those that don't have quality internet. Other clients are building stable coins for countries because they don't have a reliable central bank. Those are really basic functions that we take for granted. So I'm excited to see how that rises the floor. And then for us that are, we're more advanced with where we are, and not say it's better or anything, but like, how do we actually adopt it besides just payments? Because there are many big companies that accept Starbucks, accept crypto for payments. What's like the next level to go? I mean, I see like engagement for like brands. You see that in entertainment, sports, like in a way that actually adds to the experience. I mean, I'm a big sports fan. I would love to see how that actually continues to play out, and in a way that, that's entertainment. It's not solving world hunger, but I think those low-hanging fruit will make things more tangible to the everyday person. Like, how does this add benefits in a way that makes sense and is fun? And then it'll start to scale to more serious things that we've all been building and working on. So I think that's where I'm at. I mean, it's not going to happen overnight, though. I think like in 5 years, those that use the technology the most, learn how to make themselves more than they are, will be in a better spot. And those that don't, I speak to commercial real estate brokers, developers, lenders. I'm trying to figure out, where does this fit? I said, I always encourage them, go use it and figure it out. Because if you don't do it, somebody else will. And then you're left behind. And that's where you do get replaced. So I don't think that's going to happen overnight either. But you can find ways to kind of thrive with making the most of AI and Web3.
Guys, low-hanging fruit. That's what we need to go. Sanjeev, this up?
So I'll stick to my domain, which is real-world asset. And, quite excited about speaking with Steve about how do we we are putting up a first NBA team cap table on chain. Now, so the use case is this: there are investors in NBA cap table where they put $5 million, $10 million. The team makes it big, but they never get an exit because they are low. I don't want to say like minority shareholder. They have $5 million. The team makes like $100 million, but their money actually increases, but they don't get an exit. So now we are putting that on chain, so which is quite exciting. So you can actually own an NBA team. And of course, there'll be a utility play as well, where you can actually have a merchandise, or you can purchase their merchandise, or you can use their loyalty rewards and all of these. But these are security aspects of it, something which is quite exciting, which has never happened. The other thing which we were talking about is a SpaceX rockets, which is Falconix. Now think about those rockets are actually insured by some companies. We are actually putting those insurance contract on chain. So which is quite fascinating to see that we never had an access for kind of like insuring the SpaceX Falconix rockets, which is that's something which is quite exciting. The other thing is we are working on you can own a pre-IPO shares, which is SpaceX or all these shares in a fraction, and which is actually a fund which we are tokenizing it, which is directly listed with NASDAQ, and NASDAQ is involved in this project as well. So these are some of the real use cases where you can own this, you can trade this. And of course, I mean, with all these adoption happening fast, with the regulation, with at the same time, from the user's perspective, it will definitely have a huge increase in such kind of more use cases coming out. So that's exactly what I feel is something which is quite fascinating.
So, John?
Yeah, I have no clue. I think what I was going to say is that I can pick a few areas that I'm excited about, but it's almost like from the beginning of the internet, and like, what are the use cases? Like, there's such transformational change, And I think that the greatest ideas come from people that have been thinking about a problem, and now all of a sudden they have the tools they can do. They've always wanted to solve it, and they have what I call I learned this from Mike Maples, as a friend of mine. It's a 4-quadrant matrix. I've turned this into helpful advice for entrepreneurs. Like, you have either consensus or non-consensus, or either you're right on the market or wrong on the market. So you never want to be wrong market because you never make anything, right? And you want to be consensus right on the market, because if you're consensus right, there's a lot of other people doing the same thing, trying to beat you to it, and it's basically a Moneyball game to get there faster to be number one, because you need to be number one or number two. What you really want to be is kind of non-consensus right, so that people are not thinking the way you do. You've seen a problem, you want to solve it, and it's a way that other people are not thinking about it, and gives you some time. And things are moving at lightning speed nowadays with AI. You may have a great idea, then you can look it up, and the AI will figure out what's already been done. So, like, it's just the rules are changing, but those ideas are still out there. And I think it's the new economics that are unleashed, new business models that we've never thought about that are super interesting. I think short term, we're going to just see real world assets being moved over, use case, and the friction's going to be taken out, and there's going to be these sell their value propositions that are interesting. It's just like, if we just talk about liquid startups, like, you can vibe code now, right? Like, you don't even need to be, it used to be a coder was like your secret sauce and no one else could do. Now you can actually type into a chat window and actually be typing out code and building all kinds of applications. So it's a really different game right now. I think it's interesting that those single round corners, non-consensus right, I want to meet those entrepreneurs that have seen something that other people haven't, or seen the world in a different view that other people haven't. And that's what I would say.
And everyone, Jerry's Agroverse, he's providing cacao tonight with samples, and you buy the bag, and it helps to restore, regenerate Amazon rainforest. And he's helping directly with the Brazilian farmers. Before I thank the speakers here, I also want to recognize RugPool in the back. We're coming Blocksee, and raise your hand, Blocksee folks. Dr. Pablo with Synexis. So these are our startups. Again, we're here to build a community. Thank you for the startups to come and demonstrate. And we have also Orbis86. That's all Orbis86 going to the back. With that, everyone, please stay behind and network. There's food, there's drinks, there's wine, there's beer. Get as many as you can. And a presentation, one more presentation. But before I go to the presentation again, John, Sanjeev, Suzanne, Brett, thank you for being up here and sharing your experience.
A quick word about Orbis86. I see a lot of familiar faces. You guys probably know here the community events. Our goal is to onboard people to Web3 AI emerging tech. I want to just give a quick shout out to all of our ecosystem partners. Without these people partnering with us for these events, it wouldn't be possible to put together the events, because all of the events do cost a couple of $1,000, if not more, even at a smaller scale. We are grateful for these partnerships. A lot of our events are also covered on various crypto media channels as well as mainstream channels. And these are some of the partners helping us amplify the message. Besides Dfinity and Internet Computer Protocol that's responsible for the evening, we also have support from other players in the Dfinity ecosystem, and that's the ICP Hubs network. The ICP Hubs network is, you can see their banner right there in the back. They basically are decentralized. They are across, they're located in various global, they have a global presence. And the Hubs is primarily responsible for onboarding people onto Dfinity. So if you're trying to learn more about the Internet Computer, you should go and check out their Hubs network. Quantum Leap Labs is actually one of the accelerators. It's actually the accelerator to be on if you are trying to get onto Internet Computer. They are affiliated, or rather they're supported by Dfinity Foundation. So again, the banner in the back that talks about Quantum Leap Labs, you can go and check. Also the hot cacao by Agroverse. We also have our brand partner, Brand PR, to help us amplify the message. Here's a quick video about Brand PR.
In the fast-moving world of Web3, crypto, and AI, we are all witnessing the world transform. In Web3, launching a project is just the beginning, and visibility is what truly matters. The more you get noticed, the more you shine. Well, interestingly, at Brand PR, we just don't focus on project to get noticed. We make sure that they stay relevant and actually make some noise. Because, let's be real, the competition is wild, and over the past few years, Brand PR has built strong connections with top media houses, securing features on major platforms across the globe. Whether it's a fresh ICO, IDO, exchanges, or an established blockchain project, looking for a long-term growth, we make sure you're seen, heard, and trusted. Brand PR handles PR, relationship building, to digital marketing and SEO. From sales management and event branding to press release distribution and SEO-driven content that ranks on Google News. We deliver updates that reach the right audience because building a crypto brand is more than just the hype. We run high-converting email campaigns with the best ROI, and we drive your voice through Telegram and X communities to keep the engagement high. Visit brandpr.io or contact us at info@brandpr.io.
So that's our branding partner, brandpr.io. Please go and check out their website. If you really are in the Web3 space and looking to amplify your voice on various crypto channels, reach out to them. They actually are based out of the MENA region, so they are probably cheaper than the consulting firms that you find here for advertising. How many people in the room are founders? Oh, quite a few founders, okay. So I'm pretty sure many of you wonder about grants. Any founders here who have received grants? So, okay, a couple of you, that's good. Now, those who have received grants or others who are checking out, you know that finding grants is a hard problem. So our partner is 0x Labs. They are connected with over 300 different Web3 foundations that give out grants. So when you talk to them, they allow you to skip some of the steps if they find your project to be good. They allow you to skip the steps of applying through the website and then waiting for your grant application to actually be picked up. They will directly connect you to the various grant managers. They do collect a success fee once the grant has been deployed. However, they really save you a lot of time and effort. So here's some information about 0x Labs.
Hi everyone, Ryan here. I'm the head of 0x Labs. We are a consulting firm helping startups like you. Just let me drive you through a quick presentation so that you will understand what we do and how we can help you. So 0x Labs is a team of 22 plus people. We have been working in the space for more than 2 years now, helped more than 200 clients over the space, and basically are acting as middleman and consulting firm between you and the foundation, the Web3 foundations. Meet Corentin, the CEO of the company, and myself, Ryan, I'm the head of sales of the company. We've been in the space for 10 years for Corentin and 6 years for myself, and have been working closely with most of the foundations in the space. Our company includes full services, so grants and funding, strategic consulting, tokenomics, growth and go-to-market, even the paperwork. We can help you from ideation phase up to TGE phase. Anytime, anything you need, just reach out to us. We also focus on the grant market. So basically, we help you getting funded with grants, non-dilutive funding. You don't give any equity, any token. You get the money, build on a chain or an ecosystem, get the money, keep building, and achieve milestones toward success. We help you there. How did we do that? And what did we do? Quick figures for you. We have raised almost $9 million in grants for a success rate of 83% and growing. And we have managed to get and recover $100K US on average for our clients. Speaking of partners, we have more than 140 partners across the whole Web3 ecosystem and more than 230 clients. You probably know some of them, so anytime, if you have any question, just please feel free to reach out to me. Contact at 0xlabs.tech or Ryan at 0xlabs.com. Thank you.
So contact at 0xlabs.tech. again, the grant money that you receive, that is equity free. Any grants that you get, it's equity free. GRX Labs, you do have a service fee though, and then when you chat with them, you can get to know. I'm just going to ask the founders to come here and speak about their startup for a minute, so you guys know what to expect when you see them there. I see Eric from Blocksee. So Blocksee, Eric, do you want to just come up for a minute and you can talk about Blocksee?
Sure.
And then guys, you can find Eric out there.
Hey, Sonia. So, hi everyone. I'm Eric Forrest. Blocksee is a dashboard that helps you visualize blockchain. We launched it 3 years ago for community management. We're finding now there's a lot of interest in tracking AI agents in hydrogen commerce. So, when things get with Blocksee, you can set up walls, trap, alerts. I'll show you a demo. I'll be demoing it out through the hallway. Visualize all of the interactions with wallets, with smart contracts, see all the wallets connected to any smart contract. So if you're interested in visualizing blockchain, getting actionable insights, come see the demo. Thank you.
Thank you, Eric. Brandon from RugPool. Brandon, quick shout out to Brandon for also helping us check in everyone. A lot of these years, again, without volunteer help, it's not possible. It's typically Ken, me, and a couple of friends who put this together. So Brandon has been that friend in me today. Thank you, Brandon. And Brandon is representing RugPool. Please, Brandon, do you want to come up here and talk for a minute about RugPool?
So RugPool is going to have
years around. Ça veut dire combien de réseau là? The regular user first dashboard with crypto is off and add this on ads. And so RugPool is a social profile evaluator, providing off-chain risk analysis, analyzing the content that social profiles are producing from people who are launching or promoting tokens. There's applying social context to on-chain risk analysis, accelerating the research process of advanced traders and using use.
Thank you, Brandon. So again, RugPool as a risk analysis platform that is pulling data from social media to perform the risk analysis. It is useful for Web3 products for sure, because there aren't any ways for us to verify the authenticity, but it's not necessarily just for Web3 product. It can be used by any product that need to vet people based on their social media profiling and activity. So go ahead and check RugPool. And Pavel, Pavel's right there. Brett and Pavel. Pavel, can you come up here and talk about Synexis for a minute?
Hi everyone, glad to be here. Ken and Sonia, thanks for the opportunity. Glad to partner with you on many activities already. So I'm a founder of and CEO of Synexis. My name is Dr. Pavel Vinisky. So we built a CTO AI intelligence for startups, investors, and enterprises. So we provide the whole system infrastructure for preparing companies, visualizing them, help to create investment memo, implementations, all that stuff. And then to make the magic in using the AI algorithms to match with corporate investors and enterprise partnerships. We do it in cycle, providing also updates, reports, and all this necessary pieces during long journey working with stakeholders. So, and as part of the story, we also integrate with demo days, with events and communities. So, I will be glad to talking to each and every of you if you're raising now, just like talk to me if you are going to raise in the next 6 to 18 months as well, because you need to start today. And if you are looking for the great investments and find them in a smart way, if you invest money, just talk to me as well. So if that's to bring value, talk to each and every of you, and you can deal with the. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Pavel. Again, Synexis is a platform built by Pavel for founders as well as investors to connect easily with each other. And Pavel is also an alum of Draper University. He does host a bunch of events with Draper University too. So great guy to connect with. And the one, these are all the startups demoing outside, but I do want to call Gary, because he's the guy who's going to be serving premium cacao to all of us. So Gary, maybe you can just come up here for a minute and talk about Agroverse. And guys, after this, we are getting close to wrap up, so you're all busy with the network. And please make sure you finish.
Right, folks. Agroverse is a project by Suzanne Leigh. And the cacao is all sourced from farms that's almost actively discovered through Amazon rainforest. From land that was partly chopped down for soybean farming and cattle ranching in Brazil, Amazon. And when the DAO actually chanced upon it years ago, we analyzed what was the cause of past 30 years of deforestation in Amazon rainforest. For every dollar you pay right now in the streets for chocolate, 46 cents goes to the farmers. In Africa, where you get target them, this option okay, is that they get their kids to go harvest the crop. So essentially, you're supporting target. In Brazil, there's other. They say, hey, you know what? Chinese are giving us good money to grow and soybeans. So, the cacao chop down the rainforest and grow some soybeans. And then just keep on repeating this because they don't really care about the land at that point. Then as depleted, we chop down other sections, grow soybean and castle, and we have like all this like crazy wildfire that's actually happened in LA, crazy blizzards, climate change, fucking killing us. And the hypothesis that we had was that, hey, is it possible to kind of build an alternate supply chain to bypass this and realign the economic incentive? Right there. What you see is a successful, minimal viable supply chain where every dollar you spend, the farmer actually gets 34 cents instead of 6 cents, which is 6 times more than what the farmers are achieving. And this encourages them to go back to their traditional agroforestry, not only to maintain the rainforest, but in some cases taking depleted Amazon rainforest and just growing the forest on it. This is supporting agroforestry. So I appeal to all of you, please bring some of the cacao and possibly buy a few bags so that we can encourage the farmers to continue to and then stop this like crazy wildfire that's killing California. Thank you very much.
And with that, we are definitely at the end of the event. So thank you everyone for coming here.